Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Glad you guys can make it tonight. And for those who couldn't make it right now, who's catching me in the replay, appreciate you as well. Um, Hope everybody's having a good week so far. You know, we do this like clockwork. You know, we're consistent. We on there all the time, every Tuesday, and that's the commitment that Calibrate has made to be able to share with our audience and give you some good information. Hopefully, you get some take some stuff away from this. All right. So I'm going to jump right into it, guys. Without further ado, what does the title say? Don't ignore these signs. What signs am I talking about? I'm talking about, you know, signs in your home that can spell disaster, right? A lot of things we take for granted, um, and we just let it fester until something bad happens. Really bad happens. But if we're really about home maintenance, we won't take them for granted. It's just like, I mean, some people, they're so, I hate to use the word, um, what's the word? I don't want to say, uh, they're very particular, I would say, about their cars, right? They don't want anything happening to them. They worship these things, right? Like, I mean, come on. But when it comes to their home, it's a totally different story, right? The next thing you know, a pipe bursts, or a bathtub or a toilet overflows or something like that, and they're looking around like, "Hey, what happened?" Well, you weren't listening. You weren't listening to you live in your home most of the time. You got to pay attention. You have a relationship with it, right? Just like with a person, and you need to take care of it, right? And it will talk to you in different ways. It will tell you what's going on. It doesn't have a mouth, but it definitely talks to you, right, in certain ways. So we're going to jump into that, certain signs to look for that could spell trouble. And it's not going to be a long live, but it's going to be, hopefully an informative live that will give you some good information if you are a homeowner to pay attention to. Okay, guys? By the way, calibrate.com right there, guys. Yeah, right there. Go check it out. They're sponsoring this live as always. We got some great products over there. It's a great way to support the channel, and go check out what we got. Okay. So yeah, let's jump into it. By the way, if you have anything to add to the live in terms of information, please feel free. Come on in the comments. Matter of fact, come in the comments right now and just say hi or something. Let your presence be felt. That's always appreciated. Like I always say, one of the reasons I do these lives is to connect with the audience on a more informal level, right? So I'm not talking at you. I want to talk to you and with you. Okay. So let's jump into it. Okay. What are some of the signs we should look for? I've been working on a property actually for the past couple of weeks, doing some work. And one of the biggest issues I see with this home is that there's a lot of paint that's peeling on the walls. It's a pretty big piece of property there, relatively speaking, right? And the walls are full of peeling paint and stuff like that. Who knows what's going on, other in other areas of the home, but that definitely stood out to me. So if you have a lot of peeling paint, bubbling paint on your wall, that's a sign that you're gonna have to, probably repaint the wall or something like that. And there's a method to do that, right? To get all that old paint off and start fresh, right? So let's see here. Let's jump into it, guys. What are some of the things you should look for? Some of these things I did the research on. I'm sure some of you guys know, but there's always something that you didn't even think about, right? Um, okay, so those dry tubes. They're really brown, and you see them kind of crawling on the walls and stuff like that. They're tubes, right? What does somebody think is going on there when you see those tubes, right? The little brown ones. Well, yeah, if you haven't guessed already, those are termites, right? And they can spell like friggin' destruction, okay, for a home or any kind of structure, right? So if you see those tubes crawling up your wall, or start seeing more of them, that's the termite roads, right? That's their roadmap. Okay, they don't like to be, I guess, exposed to light, so they create these tubes, right? And that's how they transport themselves throughout the structure. So if you see those, that's a warning sign, and they call them mud tubes, right? And you can see them around the foundation of homes or structures as well. And like if you have siding on your home, like especially wooden siding, termites love that, right? And they're subterranean creatures, right? So they like to stay in the dark. They like to stay on the ground, eating you from the inside out, eating the home, I should say, not you, but the structure from the inside out. But they do leave signs, and one of those signs is those tubes that you see sticking to your wall, right? So if you see that, just be warned, right? Be warned that it could spell more trouble. You're definitely going to have to call out. You may have to call out a pest control person to examine the situation further to see if there's what kind of damage there is. Because once you start seeing termites, there's probably a lot of damage that's been going on. You know, because seeing them is really the last stage, right? They've been in there a long time, feasting and mating and having babies and all that stuff. And so, yeah, if you see that, handle business, and because it can cost you if you don't cut it off at the pass. All right. Let's see here. What else we got here, guys? What else? Come on in the chat, guys. Tell us what's going on. Don't just look. Okay, so we talked about termites. What else? This is something that I didn't even think of, but it's a very real thing, right? Let's just say, your doors are closing perfectly all the time. No problem with your door closing, right? But all of a sudden, over time, the doors in your home stop closing properly. What is that? Is it a haunted house or something? Is it a poltergeist in your house? What's going on? Well, that's because the foundation, okay, starts to shift, right? And it causes the structure of the home to shift as well. And as a result, door frames and all that other stuff start to warp and shift. And next thing you know, your doors aren't closing like they used to, okay? Most homes, there's a period where the structure, it doesn't have to be a home, but there's a period where a building has to settle, right? That's a natural settling process, all right? That can also cause the shift as well. But it depends on the type of, soil or that it was built on. Some sediment is more, it swells more, expands more than others. So that can cause it as well. So if that's happening, if you notice that happening, or if it has happened to you before, it's a deeper issue, right? It has to do with the foundation. It has to do with the settling of the building and stuff like that. So you may want to call an inspector to come in there and look at things and, give you a definitive answer on that. Okay. And don't just get any kind of contractor. That's a whole nother video, right? Because they got a lot of, people just out there trying to get your money and not really help you. But yeah, if that's been happening, that could be a problem. That could be the issue, by the way. Okay. Just the settling of foundation. All right. I didn't really, that doing the research on this stuff really brought to light some things that I didn't really think about too much either. All right. So another issue related to that is if, your floor starts to slope, right? If you have a sloping floor, and one of the ways to test that is to, drop something on there that rolls, right? And see what direction it rolls, if it rolls at all, right? And if it starts to roll like a marble or something like that, and or a ball, right? Like, I don't know, something that rolls. And if you notice that it's rolling in a certain area, that means you have a sloping floor, okay? And or there's a slant going on, okay? So it could be anything. It could be the wood underneath the floor. It could be the joists that starting to rot, right? Because they do get dry rot, moisture and stuff like that. And it can cause, a part of the floor to kind of slant a little bit because the support structure is not as strong because, like I said, dry rot or something happened under there. And you can just call in once again, a contractor to come look at it. If you're not one of those handy people, you can call in, like I said, a structural engineer or something to take a look at it. If you have a larger piece of property there, and just replace the joist. Maybe that's all it is. Hopefully that's all it is. Okay. Now, if you live in earthquake country like I do, all kinds of stuff could happen when these small tremors happen, right? It just takes a little bit to throw stuff off, right, over here on the West Coast. And but like I said, moisture, right? If you live in northern climates where it's cold in the winter, hot in the summer, and all those shifts in temperature, that can cause stuff to get I wouldn't say necessarily rotted out, but it can kind of weaken their condition over time. Okay, so that's another thing to look for. Sloping floor. So if you're home, drop something on the floor and see if it rolls. See where it rolls. Maybe you got a sloping floor and you don't even know it. Okay, so yeah, very interesting. Okay, Here's another termite one. This is pretty obvious. If you notice holes in the little tiny holes around door frames or wooden parts of your home, maybe window frames, stuff like that. Uh, that could be a termite issue as well, right? Just holes appearing out of thin air. And one of the ways termites get out of those tubes is they create holes, right? And they, especially the flying termites, they do have flying termites with wings. I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah, that's one of the ways they get out of their tubes. And the little small baby termites also, those holes are created for them to get out as well. So if you see that around, know that that's once again, that could be a possible termite infestation, and you need to jump on it right away and get that taken care of before they tear your house down, eat it from the inside out. And yeah, okay. All right. What else, guys? What else we got here? What else we got on the list? Here's one: flickering lights. If you notice that the lights in your homes just start to flicker, right? On like they weren't doing it before, they just start. What's going on there? It could be the bulb, right? It could be the bulb that's loose. Maybe you just need to tighten it up and replace it with a new bulb, or it could be something deeper than that. It could be a wiring issue, right? And anytime we talk about electricity, you get into dangerous territory here. Last thing you want is a spark or some kind of short to happen, and you don't even know what's happening because it's happening inside the walls or inside in the ceiling or whatever, on the ceiling fan or the lights, the light circuitry. And next thing you know, you got a fire on your hands. And you probably know it's too late, right? Because you probably just see smoke coming out. So flickering lights is something else you should look for. If it's not a haunted house, you know what I mean? I mean, they do exist, by the way. That's whatever you believe in, but yeah, there have been historical or evidence of haunted homes. But I digress. Yeah. So if you have flickering lights, it could be an electrical issue, a wiring issue. You want to get that checked out. Just call a licensed electrician to come in and go over the house, go over the wiring. They got tools for that to pinpoint where it could possibly be coming from, whether it's a loose wire or something like that, or possible short or frayed wire, anything, right? So call in the pros if you don't know about that stuff, especially when it comes to electrical stuff. You definitely want to call in the pros and check it out. So flickering lights is something you should look for, right? All right, here's another one. Another very interesting one that I came across. Say you get these cracks in your windows, right, in the glass. Hey, where are they coming from? What's his name across the street, or your next door neighbor? He hasn't been around to throw the kids or whatever, throwing balls and stuff like that to hit your windows or rocks. There's nobody else doing that. So where did the crack come from, right? Well, that's another foundation issue. Did you guys know that? Okay. So if just cracks just start to appear, they call them pressure cracks. Okay. You definitely want to call a contractor in to see what's going on. Okay. Or a structural engineer to see what could be causing that, right? It could be a foundation problem. It can be, something shifting in the home, the structure of it. Especially if they're on multiple windows, then something's going on. Yeah, so cracks in the windows, yes, they do happen, and it doesn't have anything to do with somebody hitting the window with a rock or anything like that. It's just something going on with the actual structure of the home. Okay, so look for that. All right, so if you just moved into a new home, or you don't even have to move into a new home, but here's something else you should look for. This has to do with your appliances, right? Your appliances. So let's say you got a washing machine or something, something like that, something with hoses that connect to a water supply, and you notice the hose is kind of frayed. That's pretty obvious, right? That needs to be replaced. Something's been causing that. But sometimes you get bubbles in these holes. You ever see those the hose with like a bubble in it, right? Like it's just about to burst or something like that. That could be a sign that the hose is about to fail. It's about it's going bad on you, right? Don't ignore those bubbles, right? Because if you do, you can come on one day and your whole house is flooded, right? So replace it right away. Just turn the water supply off, take the hose off if you're handy, or just call in. Someone knows how to do it, right? an appliance person to replace that hose for you, okay? Because nobody wants to pay for water restoration, flood restoration. You know, nobody wants to deal with that, all right? If they can help it. And so keep an eye out on these little small things that I'm telling you right now, okay? That could spell big dollars coming out of your bank account because you ignored it, right? All right. So yeah, look for those bubbles. Inspect your hoses. Inspect all the connections, even your plugs, on your appliances, everything. Okay. Inspect them periodically. They're not they're not bulletproof. Things can happen, right? And one suggestion is if you're going to replace hoses like that, you want to get what's called a braided hose, right? That's a rubber hose, but it has the mesh around the surface of it, right? That covers the actual rubber part, and that type of hose is actually more sturdier. It's actually sturdier than just a bare rubber hose, right? That can just swell on you. The braided hose, right? The braid itself will keep that, keep everything in an equilibrium in terms of the surface of the hose, right? So if something swells, it'll find a hard time swelling because it has that braided covering over that. So a braided, just think about that, okay? So it definitely holds better under pressure. Okay, what else? Here's something. Any of you guys dealing with rodents, rats, or anything like that? Any of you guys dealing with those guys? Hey, Claudette, how you doing? Claudette McCoy in the house. How about mold buildup? Yeah, mold buildup is definitely a big one. Matter of fact, I did a video on how to detect mold in your walls, right? So go check that out on the channel. Yeah, they got small devices you can buy from the hardware store, and it can detect mold or possible mold behind the walls, and that's very, once again, mold is dangerous, not just in terms of destroying the actual structure of the home because of the moisture, but it's also very unhealthy for you if you inhale those mold spores, too much, right? People have gotten really sick because of mold buildup or mold infestation in their home. So that's definitely something to look for. And the thing about mold is it's so sneaky that if you're not careful, you won't even see it in time. By the time you see it, it's probably spread, it's spread all over the place, right? Especially in moist areas like kitchens and bathrooms where, water is more prevalent, right, than other parts of the home, right? So it's I would say periodically check for that, right? Periodically check for that if you're on top of things, because if you're seeing stuff like in the shower, mold around the shower. Oh, it says, sorry, I'm driving. I hope that turned out okay. Yeah, definitely turned out okay, Claudette. Be careful out there driving. I don't want you texting and driving too much. But yeah, if you see that stuff around the shower, it's, you don't even want to look at it really, because it's unsightly anyway, right? So, but apart from being unsightly, it's definitely a danger to your home, and it's definitely a danger to you and your loved ones, and say you have pets as well, right? And all that. So, yeah, mold is a sneaky one. And it's a very dangerous one too. So that's a good point. Appreciate that. Perigo Life Notes. Appreciate that super sticker. Appreciate that. Okay, Claudette says extreme heat damage to a home in Las Vegas. It happens often. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Do you know, Claudette, what precautions people take for the heat out there? Because I know you're out there in that desert. I mean, Los Angeles, where I am, we're pretty much a desert as well. We're just a little closer to the ocean, right? So, but this is a desert too. We live in just a big bowl that's called a city, right? If it's surrounded by mountains, that's one thing it does have. I don't know too much about Las Vegas. I don't think it has a lot of mountains. It's mostly flat, but so it does have some mountains and vegetation out here as well. It's not as bad as Vegas, but heat damage is also something else you need to look at as well. So there's things you can do to prevent that. Perigo Life Notes. Oh my God, rodents can be a pain. Look for compromised entryways. Yeah, rodents, rats, rodents, all that. Crawl spaces. Yeah, attics and stuff where creatures and all kinds of different things exist. Like they like to live in darkness. You know, certain creatures like darkness, certain creatures like light. Very interesting, isn't it? Right. So, but that's a very interesting. Let me see here. Where was I? Let me. Where? Okay. About the rodents, guys. Says discovering little piles of shredded paper, right, should send up a red flag. So if you see little piles of shredded paper or clumps of small paper and stuff like that, that could be a sign that rodents, right, rats, mice, all that stuff are they said, hey, we moving in now. They got their bags packed. They moved in, got their kids with them and everything. So they, that could be a sign. Look for that. They leave clues. They leave just like the termites leave clues. Other things leave clues as well, right? If you see little droppings, little feces from, that's come from somewhere, right? If you see a little pitter patter in the middle of the night across the floor or in the walls or whatever, and somebody, it's just not you. It's just not you in there, okay? But they're living rent free. That's the only difference, okay? Mice and rats, they say they make nests from shredded paper. Did you know that? They make nests from shredded paper, cardboard, fabric, all that stuff. They don't play. They use whatever they got at their disposal, right, to get comfortable. They say they're moving in. This is us. We got this. All right. And they said, don't fool yourself into thinking it's just one or two of them. Usually they got like a bunch. Like it says, a female mouse can give birth to 5 litters in a single year. And whatever. I don't even know how much is a litter, guys. Can somebody tell me how much is a litter of mice? I'm assuming it says it's in the dozens, right? So that's a lot. Okay, so they're not just, it ain't just one. They're not just popping out one or two. They popping out a whole brood. They popping out a gang. So look out for those guys. I know the rat traps and everything. They got all that. The poison, the rat poison, and everything. I don't even know if they're immune to that stuff, right? I'm sure they got the super rats that's been like battle tested on, you know what I'm saying? And they're just, you got to just go in there full force with some stronger stuff. Okay. Right. But at the end of the day, if none of that stuff's working, you got to call in the big guns, call in the exterminators who got the really strong stuff to wipe them out. And that's just the harsh reality of life. Sorry, mouse. We both can't live in here. I know everybody ain't like that. Some people like all kinds of creatures and stuff, but All right. So what else? I'm kind of interested about the heat damage and what to do about it. Give me a second. Here. Signs. By the way, guys, thanks for coming on in and joining. Appreciate it every time. Okay. Appreciate the support. Let's see here. Okay, so signs of heat damage. Okay, it says cracks in the walls, leaks in your roof or panels, warped floors or ceilings, discolored walls or ceiling paint, moldy smells or stains on the wall, peeling wallpaper or cabinet finishes, stained carpets and stuff like that. So that's a mixture of heat and humidity, right? So yeah, I mean, stuff could do damage to you, right? I mean, it definitely can do damage. And so if you see those things happening, know that it could be, if you live in a hot area, if you're like Claudette mentioned, Las Vegas, places like that, that's what they definitely struggle with over there. So you got to take precautions around that. Okay. So let's see, where were we? Okay, we talked about the rats and the mice. Anybody else remember that movie called Ben? Remember the movie Ben? It was about the dude who could control a bunch of rats, and they would just listen to him, and he had like millions of them, and he just like he'd command them to attack people and stuff. I just remember it just brought back a old memory in my head from way back in the days when I was a kid. I remember that movie called Ben. I think Michael Jackson sang this theme song to that. That movie. Anybody remember that? It's called Ben. Oh, let's see here. Call space. Yes. Paragraph Life Note says the litter size is 6 to 8 every 21 days. Man, they're not playing. Every 21 days, 6 to 8. Okay. Just do the math on that. How many a year they're having? You know, how many a year? That's a lot. At least over 50. Up to, oh yeah, she said up to 60 a year. Yeah, they're not playing, man. Those little rodents there, they be getting it on. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Where were we? All right. Slow drainage around the house. Like this is something that we all struggle with, right? We like the water doesn't go down the sink as quickly as it used to. It could be here or some kind of buildup muck residue in the drain. It has to be, cleaned out. Typical maintenance stuff. I did a video on how to use a drain snake. It's a pretty simple tool. You just wind it down until it goes in and hits whatever the blockage is, breaks it up so everything can flow again. But guess what? If that doesn't work, then you might have a bigger problem on your hands, right? In terms of plumbing issues. The blockage could be deep into the plumbing system in the house, right? Something that the drain snake you have can't even get to. It could be something that the drain snake can't penetrate, right? It may get to the point where a friend of mine's house, they had to actually dig through the ground to get to the part where it was hitting. The blockage was, and break the pipe up and break it out that way. So it can get really serious and get very expensive, So that's if you got that going on, then make sure you have enough in reserves to call a professional plumber out or plumbing company to come take care of that, right? Because nobody likes taking a shower and your feet, you're like knee deep in water as well, right? It's like you're taking a bath and a shower at the same time. Nobody wants that. So if you got slower drainage in your home, right? Something's going on, it's a blockage somewhere. And it could be a possible deeper issue, right? But I would say I would say just try the drain snake method first. Go buy a drain snake and snake that thing, and see if you can break it up yourself. I'm an advocate of trying to fix it yourself first before you spend the money, right? And some of these things you can do yourself. Now, I did mention peeling or blistering paint earlier in the beginning of this live, because that's what I'm encountering at this property that I'm working on right now. That's all it is just moisture getting up under that paint. And it could be the fact that the paint it's starting to separate from the substrate, the layer underneath, and it's causing that bubbling on the walls and stuff like that. Really ugly, unsightly, right? So you just go buy a scraper or something like that, scrape it off, and then patch it, right? And I'm gonna probably do a video on how to do that in upcoming pretty soon. So look out for that, okay? It's actually kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cathartic. Yeah, I'm throwing out big words there. It's kind of cathartic to actually peel the paint off. You know what I'm saying? It actually feels good to do that. Peel all that bad paint off and then, expose what's under there. Yeah. Anyway, that's me. Here's another one. When your windows start becoming stuck, right? What's going on there? Once again, when doors, windows, things like that, start becoming stuck or not closing like they used to, that's a foundation issue. Something shifting in the foundation, causing the frame of the home, the structure of the home to shift and as well, and warp as well, right? And that's a foundation issue. And once again, you need a inspector or something, a professional inspector to come through and check it out, right? That's not just something you can fix. That's definitely an area where you got to call in the pros, okay, and see what's going on. Here's one. I think most of us ignore this a lot. When you flush the toilet, or you don't even flush the toilet, just start gurgling just out of nowhere. Your toilet just starts gurgling, right? It starts to bubble. It's just bubbling noise. Says, what's going on, right? Well, once again, that's a what's called a negative air pressure issue, right? That's building up in the drain line. Okay, so it creates like an air bubble in the drain line, and that's what causes it. So you can definitely call your plumber to once again, get down in there and solve the problem, get rid of that air pocket. But that's what it is. Okay, so it's not, once again, it's not a poltergeist or something coming out of the toilet coming to get you in the middle of the night. Okay, well, I don't know, it could be in some cases, right? But yeah, so that's, don't let that alarm you. That's just a law of physics happening. This, like I said, this thing called negative air pressure is happening. It's going on down in there, and it's building up in the drain lines. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. All right. Here's one. Remember, anybody like bees? Yeah, I'm talking about the insect bees. The ones that sting you and stuff. Guess what they do? They're kind of like termites sometimes, right? Bees, they actually burrow into wood. Did you guys know that? Bees can burrow, they can dig into wood and live in there. They actually make their little, nests sometimes in soft wood, right? So if you got a deck or something outside, because we don't really keep bees in the house unless you're one of those people that, just like insects like that. But if you got like a deck or something, some structure, wooden structure made of soft wood, and you see these holes in them, then they're kind of too big for a termite, something like that. And it could be bees, they got different kinds of bees. I know I know somebody who can actually, they know every what is it called, species of cockroach. That's like crazy. But yeah, they got different kinds of bees as well. You guys know that. You heard, I'm sure you heard of the Western bees. You heard of Africanized bees, but they got these bees called carpenter bees, right? And these bees can dig into like wood and, and all that stuff, man. They no joke. Okay. So you got holes in your decks or, your wooden structures outside, and you're wondering where they're coming from, right? Nobody's shooting at me. Well, it could be the carpenter bees getting their carpenter skills on. Okay. So may have to call the exterminator out to take care of those guys as well, because they definitely can do damage, just like termites can. Okay, so stay on the lookout for those guys. All right, stay on the lookout for those guys. So let's go back to the chat and see what's going on in here. All right. Well, let me see here. Let me touch on where was I? There was something I wanted to touch on, guys, before I let you guys go tonight. Seems like I lost it. I may have to catch it on the next round. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'll have to catch that one on the next round. So just look forward to that. But anyway, guys, yeah, those are some things you need to look for or keep an eye out. It's like, we take for granted certain things, right? Gurgling toilets, holes. We kind of see, it's just, whatever. We just kind of got so much stuff going on. We don't even take into consideration that our house, our home is being eaten from the inside out by termites or things like that. And, or that the foundation's shifting and we can't close doors and stuff like that. We don't even think about it. You just say the door's stuck. It's no good. We got to replace the door. No, it could be these things represent deeper issues, right? And if we only deal with the surface of it, then like say we replace the door frame or widen the door frame or shave it down so it can close. That's not solving the real problem, right? If you got a foundation issue, that could possibly, cause even worse issues to happen. Right. Same with the termites. That's pretty obvious. You ignore termites, man. They don't ignore you though. Right. They'll eat your stuff from the inside out. So, and that's a good analogy for a lot of things in life. If you let it eat you from the inside out by ignoring it and not dealing with the issue, then that's exactly what's going to happen. And you can't be mad at it because they're just doing what they do. Right. They're just trying to live too. They got to eat as well. But you got to tell them, hey, man, you got to find some place else to eat. You ain't going to eat here. You know, I done fed you enough. I let you eat, and I ain't gonna have nothing else. So, guys, don't neglect your home. Don't neglect your dwelling spaces. All right, gotta take care of it, just like you take care of anything else. You ignore it, it's gonna ignore you. It's gonna fail you. So you gotta do the maintenance, right? Just like anything else in life. So, guys, I appreciate you coming on the chat. Claudette, I appreciate you. Claudette McCoy, Paragirl Life Notes, thanks for coming on in. And anybody who's watching or will watch in the replay, thank you for coming in and supporting. Don't forget to go to calibrate.com. Check out what we have right there for you. And you guys have a good one. Take care.